So with these ones, we want to solve by quadratic formula. So again, to solve by the quadratic formula, we need to know the a, b, and c coefficients. We also need to know the formula. So the formula for the quadratic formula is the solution for x is negative b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4 times a times c all over 2a. And again, just to make a note here that there is our center. Okay, that's where our vertex is, negative b over 2a. Okay, so here we just need to identify our a, b, and c coefficients. A is equal to 1, b is equal to negative 5, and c is equal to negative 8, and then we plug it into our formula. Okay, so x is equal to negative of negative 5 plus minus square root negative 5 squared minus 4 times a times c, which is negative 8. Okay, make sure you watch your signs. Here we have a negative negative, so it's going to be positive, and then over 2 times a. So simplifying that, we get 5 plus minus. It's going to be 25 plus 32. Okay, so we get square root 57 all over 2. So this is an irrational solution. Okay, this is not a factorable. Okay, if it's ended up being a fraction or a rational number, we know that we could have factored it. But since this square root is irrational, this is a non-factorable solution. Okay, although it crosses the x-axis, it does not cross at a rational number. Okay, so for this one here, so equal to 0. So again, we want to identify our a, b, and c coefficients. A is equal to negative 3, b is equal to negative 2, c is equal to 13. Okay, and then we solve for x. X is equal to negative of negative 2 plus minus negative 2 squared minus 4 times a times c. Okay, so this is a parabola with a y-intercept that's positive and facing down. Okay, positive c, negative a. A positive c, negative a means that this is going to end up being a negative term, which then becomes positive. So it ensures that we don't get a negative square root, because remember, the negative square root has no solutions. So we end up with 2 times a. Okay, and then we simplify this expression, 2 plus minus. It's going to be 4 plus 12 times 13, so that's going to be, I think it's 156. Okay, so 156, so square root 160 all over negative 6. Okay, and then we should simplify this since there is a perfect square factor involved in there. So we're going to factor out the 16. And so we end up with 4 root 10 all over negative 6. And being a common factor of 2, we should simplify that to 1 plus minus 2 root 10 over negative 3. Okay, so there's our final solution. For here, again, we want to get rid of the denominators and make it equal to 0. So we should state our restrictions. So we can't let x equal to 1, or x cannot be equal to 1 or negative 5. Otherwise, we're dividing by 0. Once we've stated our restrictions, we can get rid of the denominator, multiply by the lowest common denominator. Okay, and we can do this because this is an equation, so if we multiply both sides, we keep it balanced. So we end up with x times x plus 5 plus 3 times x minus 1 x plus 5. Okay, so nothing cancels out here, so then we multiply 1 over x plus 5. The times x plus 5 and divide x plus 5's cancel out, so we end up with 1, and we're left with just x minus 1. Okay, we want to then expand this and combine like terms. So this is going to be 3x squared. That's going to be plus 4 times 3, so plus 12x, minus 5 times 3, so times. We end up with 15. Okay, and then we can combine our like terms. So I'll just do it on one side first. So we're going to end up with 4x squared plus 17x minus 15 equals x minus 1. Make it equal to 0. So I end up with 16x plus 1 on both sides. We end up with minus 14 equals 0. Okay. Now for this one we can just put that into the quadratic formula. However, I'm just going to divide both sides of the equation by 2 because I can get rid of the common factor of 2 here. So I end up with, and I'll just maybe show that here. I'm just going to go divide by 2. Okay, so I end up with 2x squared. Now it doesn't matter if you use a, b, and c as 4, 16, and negative 14. You're just going to have to simplify the fraction that you get for your solution. So it doesn't really make much difference, but I think it might be easier just to simplify the equation first. Okay, so then we can put this into the quadratic formula. A equals 2, b equals 8, c equals negative 7. Okay, so we end up with our equation as negative 8 plus minus square root 64 minus 4 times a times c. Okay, and that's all over 2 times a, which is 2. Simplifying this, we get negative 8 plus minus. So this becomes 8 times 7. So we end up with 56. Maybe I'll do this in steps. 64 minus negative 56. All over 4. Okay, then we end up with negative 8 plus minus. So 64 plus 56 gives me 120 over 4. We should simplify this. So there's a common factor of the greatest common perfect square looks to be 4. So we're going to simplify that. So negative 8 plus minus the square root of 4 is 2. And then we're left with 30 in the square root. Okay, and then we can simplify that common factor of 2. So we end up with 4 plus minus square root 30 all over 2. Okay, and that's our final answer here.